Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? I am Dan from Trading with Dan. This is our Bitcoin morning update. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm in like a brilliant mood today. I don't know if it's just because it's that Friday feeling, or just because it's what I'm seeing in the crypto markets. But hey, I have some irrational exuberance over here. But yeah, so yeah, all that being said, this is our Bitcoin morning update. So we shall have to go straight over to those Bitcoin 4-hour charts. So yeah, as you can see, we have taken 1, 2, 3 pretty aggressive legs to the downside. We have found ourselves actually on the underside of our major level of resistance now we're the underside, but our major level of support. We have found ourselves under there. We have obviously going to, in the process of this, stopped out plenty of longs. We are going to have FOMO'd in plenty of shorts, and now we have to sit and await with bated breath. Do we just drop our way down to the low 50s? Let me just extend this horizontal, because this is obviously back in play. It's clearly back in play around the $55,000 level. Or is this what I potentially think? But this is just pure speculation. Don't make any decisions based on what I'm about to say. Or is this sort of a front running of this sort of midpoint level, a swing failure below this important horizontal, just to do exactly what I've been saying, FOMO in shorts and obviously squeeze out the longs? Is that what is happening? Do we make our way nicely above 58,500 and then onwards and up towards 60,000, and this just end up being a similar pattern just to the downside, an inverted pattern to what we had up here, where we broke above and then obviously flirted with the level again, and then literally came back all the way back to the bottom and below. So obviously the reverse of that would be to break back above here and then get all the way back to the top and above to pretty much all-time highs. Is that what is about to happen? If I had to guess, and like I said, this is just a pure guess. I don't normally do such wild speculations, but just because this is what I think, this is what I see in my ever optimism. This is literally what I see is going to happen. So we basically shall see. We obviously have various bits of FUD going around, with obviously the Mt. Gox bitcoins that are potentially going to go for sale, which is interesting in the context that some altcoins this morning are doing pretty well, even in the face of low value of Bitcoin, because don't forget, Mt. Gox will be potentially returning Bitcoin. I'm not sure if they're returning Bitcoin or dollar value of Bitcoin, but if they're returning dollar value of Bitcoin, someone's selling that Bitcoin, all that Bitcoin's already been sold. But yeah, so either way, it will result in Bitcoins being sold, and then that's obviously a negative for Bitcoin, but no other cryptocurrency. And if anything, some of those people that get that money back may then put it into altcoins. They may obviously get their Bitcoins back, keep some in Bitcoin, and diversify that into altcoins. So maybe we've got downward pressure on Bitcoin, but relatively speaking, obviously we know the markets generally move in the same direction together. Relatively speaking, maybe we have an upward pressure in the Satoshi values of some altcoins, of some of the better altcoins, obviously, because these are obviously serious guys that have been in since the Mt. Gox days. I don't think they're going to start pumping money into Shiba and Doge. They're probably going to pump it into Ethereum, Solana, and other more adult coins. Adult coins, we'll call them that. We also have just a broadening, widening of the range, which is just it just happened. This is a textbook chart pattern where you just get a broadening of the trading range. So we have got an extension to the upside and potentially an extension to the downside if we break back above. But yeah, what I am potentially seeing stroke hoping for is that, yeah, we do get back above this today, because it would be nice to see a Friday close above this important level. I think it would be important for the charts to be painted in such a fashion. Also, with the evil market manipulators driving this market down, I mean, ultimately they want to close us back above, so they can then drive the market up and obviously squeeze everybody to the upside. I mean, that just seems like the play that seems like the play. Also, we may on a random note, and I don't know how random it is or isn't, we may have spooked some of the old school finance 1.0 investors in crypto, the old guys, the boomers. We might spike the boomers in the boomer coin, because we have two sports stadiums. We have I believe it's the crypto.com arena, formerly the Staples Arena, and then we also have an FTX arena. And obviously a lot of people in crypto and a lot of millennials don't really know about a lot of people don't really know about the good old sports stadium top indicator. Once these companies start having wild amounts of money to start splashing out on wild stuff, then that mark, obviously sports stadium naming being one of them, that does mark a top. We saw it like a lot with tech stocks, Enron, so yeah, maybe like I said, maybe that did spook some boomers out of the boomer coin, because they saw that and thought, well, that's a top, that is a sign, that is a bad omen, and they dumped. But obviously we are ever crypto optimists here, so we are all about the new paradigm, and it is different this time, because let's face it, there is an existing monetary system that went from obviously basically personal people practically going bankrupt, to then passing that on to corporations, but then passed it on to central banks that have now passed it on to the sovereign level. And there is no one to bail out basically the Ponzi finance system at the sovereign level. There's no one to bail it out other than the currency basically destroying. And maybe obviously a lot of that is gonna segue. A lot of that monetary system has to segue into crypto, because there is no alternative. There is no alternative other than obviously buying stocks. Yeah, just everyone can just pile into stocks if they want. But in a system where we don't have financial repression and artificially low rates, those stocks, those companies, obviously that those stocks are of, how do they fare in such an actual a normal environment for interest rate policies? Basically, they go bust, is what I'm saying. So maybe stocks as a because Finance 1.0 people, they see stocks as the there is no alternative, buy stocks as the only inflation hedge. That's what they see, which is fair enough. But I would suspect they need to realistically look at the playbook a few pages ahead, and then start to wonder what's going to happen when basically these companies can't basically refinance their corporate debt at zero, and they in effect can't make payments basically, and they just go bust. That's it. So yeah, but are we to see that? Because I believe for a start central banks can't do anything anyway, so we are only up until basically the currency pops, and at which point I think cryptocurrency is still then only up, even if it is relative to other currencies, even if it's relative to the fiat currencies. So like, I mean, who knows what, there'll be wild volatility, but I think there may, and volatility to potentially to the downside, but I think that the volatility of currencies to the downside will be greater. So yes, some just mad speculation there. If we do want to go and have a look at stock markets, I mean, look, here we go. There is an alternative. We are only going up. Basically, Bitcoin isn't done and dusted with stocks doing this. Nascoin as well. Look at it, on up and away. There is no alternative. Like I said, there is no alternative. The Dow, we don't look at the Dow so much, but yeah, I mean, this is the main reason why I don't look at the Dow so much. We just look at these ones more. The Russell probably struggling a little bit as well. Yeah, as you can see, the Russell actually falling back into this level, so this could be a forward check, a back check, and a paycheck. And then also gold still holding up there, the 10-year yield easing off a little bit, as we can see, and then the DXY steaming ahead. The DXY, which is whichever analogy you would like to use, you could use the cleanest dirty shirt in the wash basket, or the tallest midget. It is the tallest midget in the world. Basically, it is just the best of a bad bunch. Just to try and just use a normal expression. The dollar, so far as currencies wise, is pretty much the best of a bad bunch. And yeah, obviously, I mean, if market is going to start to price in any sort of like crazy instability regarding the global financial system, obviously that sort of instability would obviously lend benefit to having a large military presence around the world and be an ability to project power. So that clearly would obviously indicate that the dollar would be a safer place to harbour. But yeah, we shall see. But yeah, it is moving onwards and upwards, but nonetheless stocks are moving upwards. Gold and silver are moving upwards even in the face of this massive move, and cryptocurrency, I mean, albeit has had a pullback. I mean, we're roughly around the $60,000 mark, which is pretty mental to say that the dollar is all the way up here. I mean, if we even want to kind of look at some of my my mad predictions of where Bitcoin would be when the dollar was at a certain level, you can literally put in perspective like how wrong I was with just predicting things. I mean, we've got 20k, maybe even 30k Bitcoin if the dollar got this week. But the dollar is all the way up here, and this is a massive move for the dollar. The dollar's all the way up here, and Bitcoin is double that, maybe even practically, and has been double that, maybe even. So all that tells you is that fiat currencies are collapsing against basically hard assets. It isn't just obviously Bitcoin, it's other things as well. But yeah, we live in a wild world, and things are going to happen gradually then all at once. And yeah, I mean, what is the alternative? What can we do when the SH1T hits the fan? I think this is gonna whilst it may not take over, it has to be part of the next page. But they are obviously people working behind the scenes, trying to basically salvage the system. The only way to salvage their system is inflation. All they can do to basically get rid of this debt is inflate it away, and by keeping rates real yields negative for a prolonged period. It doesn't really matter what nominal is, as long as real rates are negative, you can basically inflate away that debt. But inflation is just running haywire. I think it obviously got a jump start because obviously with supply chain constraints and obviously, yeah, and then obviously government policies like climate change policies and things, which are just ludicrous. It's ludicrous in the context of what's going on. It's just those people are just, I don't even want to start. You know my views on these people that just don't really look at the bigger picture. They just want to be part of their little club and chirp away with their social virtue calling. What's it called? Virtue signaling. They want to do the little virtue signal in their little clubs, not really caring about the rest of the people in the world that aren't so privileged. They need to check their privilege. But yeah, they just live in a separate little fantasy world, and sadly those people are the people that have a massively oversized influence on this world, on world government policy. So yeah, that has to end, and that will end when there is a major social unrest because their policies are causing petrol prices double or triple what they are now, and obviously heating costs. Once people start not being able to eat and stop being able to heat, and people start dying of cold, then and hunger, then basically people very quickly lose their patience with the Davos man, the World Economic Forum man, Christine Lagarde type people. Just all those people, they literally well, in the past they've lost their heads, but hey, the only way they have to protect themselves now potentially is advances in wow, we are going off at such a tangent here. The only way the global elites have a chance of controlling the situation now and staying global elites in the pandemonium that is to come is actually AI and robotics. So if you have advanced robotics, so you can basically have Robocop, and you can have AI controlling Robocop, and you can control all that, a very, very few amount of people can literally control all the people in the world very easily. And that is the end game. That is what they're racing for. We are literally in an arms race between the system not collapsing before they can basically have RoboCop. I know this sounds ridiculous. This does sound ridiculous, but it won't necessarily be exactly like RoboCop. It may be just be an armed drone, swarms of drones. Do you know what I mean? That are controlled by central AI that can scan your chip in skin, not like chip and pin, chip in skin. And yeah, I mean that'll be like that'll just be global. It'll obviously be implemented on other for other reasons. But let's not forget the end goal. It is a game of chess. It is a game of chess, just like when you play chess, you look to control, you look to exert power, you look for weakness. That is all these people do, because if they don't do that, they basically lose, just like you would lose in chess. If you lose control, if you lose the power positions, you're not likely to win. So yes, we have just gone on an absolute mad one this morning. Bitcoin dominance moving down, even in the face of Bitcoin all the way down here, an absolute tank in Bitcoin dominance. If we want to look at our beloved ETH Satoshi pairing, yeah, back above this horizontal, blasting through this downward trend line. So I mean, realistically, this can accelerate straight into this box now, and potentially onwards and upwards. I'm sure it'll get a pullback at some point, but this is looking increasingly good. It's just maybe it's just a pure ridiculous speculation. Maybe people are expecting Mt. Gox Bitcoin being released is going to be a thing. I would want to diversify into Ethereum. That's what I would want to do. I think that is a smart move. Don't forget, these guys are smart guys. Have been in crypto a lot longer than lots of us. They probably see the future. They probably think, well, what I'm going to do is sell it into dollars and then just enter like the normal finance 1.0 system that I never liked in the first place, that is potentially going to go pop. And I'll just be a bit annoyed with myself. Or are they going to then look to diversify into other crypto assets, with Ethereum being the number two crypto asset? I personally think it's number one, but obviously isn't number one by market cap or anything like that. But I think it is the number one, main one. Maybe Bitcoin, when it has its taproot, potentially gets smart contracts, get DeFi with Bitcoin, maybe it does become just basically takes back over. But maybe it won't, because it doesn't have as an active dev community, obviously, as Ethereum does. So there you go. Not much else to look at there. Let's have a look at those stochastics. They're going to be looking awful. Nothing really is going to help us short term. I mean, obviously it can move up, but what short term necessarily going to do in this massive downward trend? But if it can get us back above 58.5, it can start to turn around some of these. I mean, these are very low, turning back up at the moment. If these can get moving, 12 hour can turn back up. If that can get moving, if daily can turn back up, then yeah, I mean, we have a shot of getting back above 58.5 and then back above 60, and basically back into this nice little 60 to 64,000, what I would call a relative safe zone. A safe space for Bitcoin. This is a safe space. Bitcoin's safe space at the moment is between 60 and 64,000, and then I'm sure lots of people will be happy with sideways action between then, for as long as realistically Bitcoin wants to do it, because we all know our altcoin bags will go mental at such a point. But yeah, if those can potentially turn us around and get us up there. 2-day though, if we look at some of the other stochastics, 2-day as we can see, dive in, got plenty of room to dive. 3-day got plenty of room to dive. 5-day got lots of room. It could potentially hold a higher low to this, maybe, if we do basically get back to the upside. Weekly turning down from a high level, so we've literally got to hope this is the sort of price action we see. But bi-weekly still pointing up, and monthly still pointing up. Ultimately we know that the top isn't in. We know that as a crypto community, we are not immature enough to basically have $69,000 as our high. We know that. Come on, we're serious people. We can't be having that. We can't literally be having for the next 5 years or whatever, however many, 2 years or whatever, of bear market with $69,000 being the high. We know that isn't going to be the case. We know it is going to be into the 100Ks. So it is just a case, like I said, of the path we take. There is obviously room. There is room to maneuver to the downside here. We can move down to the low 50s clearly if we want to. We could very easily get in reject rejected in the zone and come back down. But do I think that is going to happen? I don't. There is bitcoins being taken off exchanges. There is basically buying here of spot Bitcoin and being taken off and hodled. So I do believe this swing fairly below here. Like I say in my crystal ball prediction, just take it with a pinch of salt. I think we will regain 58.5. Regain 60, get back into this range, and then start to rebuild confidence. So there you go. There is your pep talk. I hope I have rallied the troops on this fine Friday. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Remember, this is not a financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I shall speak to you